3, 2, 1, action.
Pulling it when you put your back up.
That was a really good cut. All right, so Sam, it's going to be a close-up on this, then it's going to go out. Okay, let's run through those.
I just left the makeup chair. Real sweet people. I mean, just professional to the max. I mean, this is all makeup. I mean, that's Hollywood level. That looks like real good.
This is my 5th short film I've ever made. I'm a filmmaker and I'm about 1.5 years into the world of creating narrative films. I've been doing video and photo work for about 2 to 3 years now, but this has been my most recent work and my best work. Seven Flames Till Death is doing well in festivals and is already a finalist in 2, one in New York, one in California, and we look forward to going to those. But how it was made, I think, is very interesting. And I think for other filmmakers or people that haven't made a film, or maybe they did and they just want to see other people's experiences, this is my experience of making a film and what it was like, and specifically for this film, a darker, more thriller aspect, what you really can do with a low amount of money. This movie came out on October 30th, right? I think it was 2 days after Halloween, actually. And it was made on an extremely low budget. And I'm talking 3 crew members, 1 actor, and none of us took home any money, let's just say that. It cost us $340 to make this film. Now, if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to watch it at some point. Hopefully watch it after you see this. If you do like this video, I don't know if you will, maybe you're already gone, but if you're still here, maybe consider it. I do think we pushed what we had to its absolute maximum. We had the producer for this, my good friend Sam, and I were the team behind Sukavision majority of the time, and he built this giant pendulum for the set, this giant swinging metal pendulum where we placed Robert Malcolm Cumming. Now, he is the real star of this show because he showed up on set after I think he watched the original stories. He watched an original film of mine and our team of Sukavisions. This looks awesome. I'm in LA, but I'm back in Michigan for a little bit. That's where we're from. That's where this film is based in. He's like, I'm back. I would love to work with you guys. He drove 3 hours to be in this, and it was fantastic. I mean, we shot 14 hours straight, one day. Well, I guess it was 2 days technically, but we shot this in one day. We shot a 4K RAW file on a Canon R6 Mark II. It was shot on a Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter lens, along with a 35 millimeter Sigma lens. Those are what I went with just because they're light, they're easy, they're what I know. And also Sam also has the same camera as me, so we were running one camera on a gimbal on a DJI Pro 3, one camera usually handheld or tripod. As the night got on, as it got darker, as it got colder, as we needed to just move quicker, I resorted to a lot of handheld shots. The story of Seven Flames talks about a young man who has recently committed a crime and finds himself in a courtroom. What is he doing here? Why is he here? We see 7 candles lined up on a table beside him. What do these candles mean? As they slowly go out, we start to realize that the young man also doesn't remember why he's here. So like the audience, we don't know what's going on. And we're learning things as the prisoner, played by Malcolm, is learning them. Now, before we get right into the actual pre-production notes and still kind of in this introduction period, I just want to say some things. This is a very lucky thing to happen to me as the director, cinematographer, editor, writer, and producer for basically me being, Sam as the producer for a majority, but me handling the marketing and the pre-production of listing what we'll need to make it happen. And then Sam basically is like, you know what, I'm just gonna make it happen, because that's what Sam does. He makes things happen. Sam's a year older than me. We grew up together. We made a lot of films together, well, 5 films together, and we plan on making a lot more and challenging the industry on low budget filmmaking, because I'm a big fan of Robert Rodriguez. If you don't know who he is, close friends with Quentin Tarantino, He made From Dusk Till Dawn. He famously made El Mariachi for $6,000, made a full feature for $6,000, and got picked up for $4 million. If you don't know numbers, that is pretty good for film. And is someone that I want to be like in terms of how he uses such a small crew and is so innovative. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily innovative, really shining on Sam was so innovative here, because I was like, hey, we really only used like $150 to make this happen. The rest was all for film festivals, because film festivals cost so much. Pre-production, I did about 3/4 of this on an iPad for storyboarding. The visuals you'll see will show kind of how I did it. I like to show the camera moves because the way the camera moves is so important to the story, and knowing specifically this is the first time I did a basically budget gimbal or budget dolly system with a gimbal where we just started wide and pushed in, and you'll see at the beginning I do that on the young man, which is Malcolm. It was so hard, my arms were literally shaking. You can see in the behind the scenes I'm literally shaking while I'm doing this. But it turned out pretty smooth. I used a lot of stabilization. I use Final Cut Pro to edit. That's just what I know. That's what I like using. I think it's not about what software you have, but how you use it. And I do know that some of the color grading, obviously in DaVinci Resolve, is better, and stabilization could be better in After Effects or Premiere Pro, but I just love Final Cut, so that's what I'm using. And I like to make it as good as I can in camera and not rely as much on the edit, because relying on post is just not a good habit to have, and it's not very reliable. I wanted to tell this story because I thought it was really interesting. This whole movie was shot and written and edited and marketed in 1 month, the month of October. The beginning of October is when we filmed, till the release October 30th. I do not recommend this. Do not put yourself on a time crunch. For some reason in my mind I was like, gotta release a film. After a month, once I announce it, I put an end date on the trailer or the teaser, and this is not a good habit for me, and it's something I recently have taken a lot of time off. Time off basically meaning planning, editing, designing. We made this hat for Sugavision to take time off, to learn things, to grow as writers, storytellers, and filmmakers, but it's not good to put yourself in such a time crunch. It is good to say, hey, I want to film this. Once you film it, the edit is time. If you're continuously working on it, it's not good to like procrastinate it. You still want to work on it. But giving that deadline creates so much stress, and sometimes it could be at fault. I think there's certain little things in Seven Flames I'm really proud. This is my most proud film yet. It actually feels scary and a little thrill-like of like when you're watching, you're like, what is going on? If you've seen the final scene, a lot of people have been either not really a jump scare, but of like a shock. Like when I watch it with them, they're actually shocked what's going on, which is what I want as a filmmaker. It feels really good to see people experience kind of this roller coaster of emotions of where are we going on this film? And that's the whole idea. With the pre-production, we needed two things. We needed a church / this place for the young man to have this judge, and the judge was a voiceover actually on Fiverr. And we just had Sam talk in the behind the scenes at reading these lines. And I don't know if that was necessarily the right move, because you could argue the very beginning it does feel a little cheesy having this voice, and I don't know. Rewatching it, I am more skeptical of like, I know that's just a Fiverr guy I hired, a voiceover. He did a great job. He did exactly what I wanted. Nothing to discredit his voice or what he's doing, but more of saying like, I shouldn't, in short films, maybe relying on dialogue isn't the best. I said, Sam, we need a way to feel like he's in a pit, but we don't have access to a pit. That's where Zach comes in. He's like, hey, my mom has this warehouse. We used to run blueberries out of there for a farm. It's old, it's run down, no one uses it anymore. It's this big open space. Would it be good to shoot in there in the day to make it look like a pit? And at first we're like, sure, we'll just shoot at the wall and figure out how to make it darker on the sides. And then Sam and I worked together and drew up this design. And I don't remember if it was Sam's idea strictly. I don't think it was my idea strictly. I do think it was all of us is collaborative of, hey, Sam's like, what do you want this to look like? Do a rough drawing of in how big I want it to be. Then Sam takes those designs and puts them together and works on it. And this is like filmmaking at its best, I believe, is when you get to work closely with someone else as a creative to say, let's put this thing together. And Sam absolutely does that time in and time out as a friend and producer for me. So I do just want to say again, this movie is heavily reliant on Sam as the producer to getting these ideas done. And yes, I might be writing and shooting it and directing it, but if you don't have a set, it doesn't really work. So having someone that you can trust to handle that part is so helpful, and I'm very, very thankful and blessed to have that in my life as a filmmaker. Little segment for advice, and I know a big struggle is a lot of filmmakers don't have a crew when they're first starting, or don't have anything. The key is just asking people until they say yes. Asking people to come on set, and when they do show up, showing them that, hey, this love for film is amazing. That's something I personally love doing, is inviting friends out. And like I'm saying, in this circumstance, it didn't work out. But in my other films, it worked out really well. Inviting them out, saying, you should be a part of this, friends or family, and just asking, you should just come experience what it's like to make a film. And then they see themselves on the screen or wherever you release it, and it feels great. It's awesome once you start getting, as a filmmaker, I just challenge you to keep asking people, especially for narrative films, just keep asking people to be included on it and to see, and before you know it, you'll be making connections with people who are actual filmmakers, and then the productions get bigger and better. But this film was from 1 p.m., I believe we started. Sam went the day before to set up the Pendulum and the set until 3 a.m. that morning. Sam and I closed down and cleaned up everything. Oh, sorry, that was just part of our set for a new movie. 7 Flames Till Death, The Pit and the Pendulum. Zach stayed the whole time. This also wouldn't be possible without Zach having this location in mind and the costume design. That was a huge part of this film. The reason Zach ended up on set, actually, not only just because he's a friend, but he mentioned to me, Luke, there's something about your films I've noticed just seems off. It's your costume design. And I'm like, you are dead on. I do not design costumes. If you look at the first 4 films versus this film, 7 Flames, you're like, oh my gosh, what was he even thinking? I wasn't. That's the thing. When you wear your hat, they say when you're wearing so many hats on a film set, you start to miss certain pieces. And that's why having Sam take this producer role and having Zach do the costume, I didn't have to worry. Tarantino has a great quote. He says, you as the director need to have the vision. You need to make sure that vision happens. Then you need to hire people that know your vision but know how to get it done. So in terms, I don't know how to do costumes, so I bring Zach on to do the costumes. Here's my vision, Zach, but I know you're the professional, you handle it. Sam, here's kind of what I'm thinking. I know you're the professional, let you handle it. Malcolm, for the acting is a little bit different, but same thing. Here's the script. I know what is and something I also took in before this is when you're first working with an actor, do not give them any corrections. The correction is the easiest thing you can do as a director. Allow them to talk first. Allow them to speak first, and then give them your correction. That's like, as a director, that's one of the easiest things, is just saying, hey, let's try it this way. Because if you correct them from the beginning, you will never see what that actor's truth was before he starts. Speak your truth. Literally, let them speak their truth. Like if I go in on a script, or if Malcolm goes on a script and he thinks it's a totally different way, and I hear him, and then I say, you know what? That was actually a lot better than what I was thinking. I don't even know. At that point, I don't want to cut out another creative's ideas before I've even seen it. And that's true with anything. Say Sam has a different idea. You want to hear that idea. If a director and you're cutting out all ideas, you're going to lock yourself in a box and nothing's going to happen. Allow yourself to open the box and reach out to these different team members. Now, if you're solo, you're going to have to be in that box. But like I'm saying, bringing people in, and I'm no expert, but I have done it, and this is just my input of what I would go back and change or do. So we're getting back to the 7 Flames set. We have these giant black curtains all around the Pendulum. Sam was up there stringing this together for hours. Sam, again, this is basically, let's just dedicate this whole video to Sam of, if there was a brick wall in Sam's way, he would plow through it. And this is what I tell him all the time. Yes, I might have the idea, but Sam is the one that is doing the work to make that idea happen, but not from the side of what you'll see. You'll see, oh, Luke shot this, Luke directed this, but you don't see that. This is what really this video is almost to show, is like Sam was putting in hours for this set to get it just right. So on set, we didn't have to worry, oh, this is falling apart. I mean, you will run into that, and we did a little bit of things falling down, but again, we don't have a money hose, the Hollywood money hose. Oh, that broke, let's just pay it, or let's just buy something new. We had to work with what we had. And that's kind of fun. It allows you to really push the limits of what you're creating. Now, I think we did a good job doing that with 7 Flames, and I do think a lot of stuff turned out emotionally when you watch this. If you watch it till the end, I think you will enjoy it, and I think the end will be unique. We used real candles for this, and it was really cool. As the wax started to melt, it started to make them look really lived-in candles, which isn't even the right term probably, but it like deteriorated clothes combined with candles, combined with Malcolm's just ability to capture this feeling. We used the Sony UWP mics, and we just set up, either clipped the lav mic to Malcolm, which was kind of cool because it was so dark you couldn't see the black mic, or we would hide it under a dirt pile or away from him just to capture some of his audio. Now a lot of the first part, we just hid the lav mic under him and rigged him correctly. Rigged a human, that sounds a little weird, but that's just how we do it in the Luke Ring channel and on Sukavision. We rig humans. But we rigged Malcolm with the mic, or equipped it, a +1 equiption level for Malcolm on his mic, and we captured the audio at the beginning. Something I wish we would have had, and I feel like I need going further, is an actual sound guy. Handling the sound on top of the visual is not a good habit, and it doesn't let you get the best sound. I do think the sound is pretty good. It did take a lot of editing and post to get it just right, but it did turn out good, and only the beginning is where there was dialogue. The rest of the film, it was literally just grunts and moans, but that sounds uncomfortable, but that's just what it was. I mean, he was literally having a giant metal pendulum swing over his head. And that table for the pendulum is just a bunch of wooden boards we found in the back of the warehouse. The table that he lays on is just a bunch of wooden boards. That was like one area. That's the area I didn't storyboard. I only storyboarded up until that point because we were trying to get this done so fast. Because originally, why we did it in a month is because Malcolm was only here for a certain amount of time we're like, this is probably going to be the best actor we work with all year. And it was. He was incredible. Everyone else was either a friend who did a great job, people we knew, but Malcolm was so incredible that we only had this time frame that we really could use Malcolm in this. And he's like, I'd love to be a part of this. We're like, free actor, works in Hollywood, is successful. This is our chance. And you have to take those opportunities. And sometimes at fault of maybe the story could have been a little better, but getting things made is always better than not getting them made. It sounds stupid, but it's true. If you have the idea, going through the test of getting it done, okay, this film needs a $10,000 budget or a $150 budget. You can always shoot it with even if it looks so bad, getting past the start is so hard. And if you're like, I have all these ideas, I struggle writing, whatever you're doing, there's always going to be a way to postpone what you're trying to do. But when you see that opportunity, take it. And that's something I'm really proud of us for doing, is seeing this opportunity, and also very thankful for Malcolm for giving this opportunity too. But again, that comes from doing a film before that and a film before that, etc. We used real mice in this as the rats. They were Edgar and Alan. Sam picked them up. Edgar and Alan, you guys did great. That was so uncomfortable. We had like a giant glove for Sam to pick them up and move them, because I don't know about you, but I don't think anyone wants to grab a squirming mice, aka a rat. Believe it as a rat. Originally, the producer we're going to bring in was like, whoa, we'll just CGI those rats. I don't know what film set you've been on, but I personally am not at the level to say, let's just CGI that. So it was kind of cool to use real mice. And I do think it adds such a grimy level to it, and it will feel a little grimy in here, because the whole idea is he's set in this prison and you can't escape, and he goes for this piece of bread, but there's mice that are eating the bread, and he's so hungry that he takes it and eats it. This edit, I listened to 300 different classical pieces, ranging everywhere. There was a giant Spotify playlist. I think it was like, at one point I was looking at villain Spotify classical pieces, basically saying, because if you use a classical piece, something isn't copyright after 100 years. It's a weird rule, but I looked for specific pieces that were created in before the 1920s. It was really cool because the songs I chose, I think, really did impact. And music is very important in a short film, especially when you don't have professional sound. Having that real music, and obviously I know it gets tricky with copyright, but even places like Epidemic Sound that I use works really well for sound design, because that's very important. Having that pendulum swing and it creaking back and forth. I don't think it was that good of sound design, but at least it was there. And there is always better than not there. But this was really cool. We learned a lot making this film. It was really fun, and I really enjoyed the process. A great group of people to work with. Malcolm, Zach, and Sam, you guys really carried me on this film. And Sam, obviously none of this would happen without you being open to taking on every single hard task that I ask. And you're the reason the film got made. Couldn't do it without any of these guys though, seriously. Without the warehouse, without Zach's help on the costume, without Malcolm even being there, without Sam building the entire set. Those guys are a great crew, and if you're ever looking to hire any of them, you should, because they do their job really well. And I couldn't have made this film without them, and I appreciate them so much. Let me know your thoughts. Did you like this type of video? I've been making a lot of movie reviews, trying to mix it up on Saturdays, trying to give something fun. Let me know what you thought of Seven Flames Till Death. It was a fun process. It was really cool to make. Have a great day.